Hello, beautiful beings. Let's take some deep breaths into our stomachs, into your stomach. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And I want you to let me know in the comments, what is one thing that you're grateful for today? I am grateful that I woke up. I could go on and on and on. I'm grateful for so many things. But that is number one today. I'm grateful that I woke up. And yeah, I'm going live. I'm talking about the transits for today. So we have the moon transiting into Cancer today. And this is really important to know and be aware of when the moon is transiting from one sign to another, because it goes void of course for a little bit. Today it will be, I don't have the exact hours that it will be void of course, but if you're an emotional authority in human design, it is really important to wait for clarity for a moon cycle before you make a decision on something. And this is important because as emotional authorities, you're sensitive to the cycles of the moon. And when the moon is transiting, especially when the moon is transiting from one sign to another, like it is today, right now, actually it's at, let me refresh my astro chart here. Yeah, the moon right now is at 29 degrees Gemini, so it's about to move into Cancer. So it's already void of course, which means it's kind of like in between signs. So it's like in this place. And if you're feeling like every couple days, if you're an emotional authority in human design and you feel this way like every couple of days, this is why. It's because the moon is transiting signs and you're meant to wait until it fully is in the next sign to make that decision. And I'll be posting more about this on my blog and giving you more information about how you can follow these void of courses and track this for yourself, because it is so important as an emotional and human design. If your authority is emotional in your human design chart, this is so important to know for yourself so that you're making the correct decisions for your highest potential, your highest good, your highest alignment, and really in ways that are going to benefit you in the long term. With emotional authority, you can tend to be caught up in emotional waves of things and make decisions from that place, and it ends up being incorrect for you down the line long term. Short term, it feels good, right, to make that decision from a high. But the long term, it really isn't great for you to be doing that, and it leads to a lot of burnout, it leads to a lot of frustration, it leads to a lot of emotional turmoil that could have been avoided. So that is what I'm intending to share with you all and talk more about human design on here on my Clubhouse and on my website, to really give you guys a full rounded picture of how you're meant to operate and how you can really come into your highest potential and into alignment with yourself and your design. And based on your chart, your astrology chart and your human design chart blend together, and they really give you a well-rounded picture of who you are and how you're meant to operate in this life. For any of those of you who are curious and want to know more about these things for yourself, I do offer a blended astrology and human design reading that's on my website. Changing up the way, you might have seen on my stories, I'm changing up the way that I do my reading sessions. I'll be doing them kind of like on an energy basis when I feel called to, and I'll be sharing in my stories and sharing on my Clubhouse when I do feel called to open up my schedule for sessions, because it just doesn't feel good to me anymore to do like schedule in advance sessions. So that's why I only have a couple sessions left for this month in August. So if you want to book one, I suggest you do that now before it fills up. I only have a few left. They're on my website. You can view them through the links in my bio through my website, and get a session booked if you feel called and feel like you want to know more about your human design and your astrology as it relates to you. Because I was just thinking, like, there's so much information now about astrology in the world, and like it honestly makes me a little sad, because it like puts this perception out there that like I feel like it makes people think that they're like in boxes, and it puts like these certain signs in certain boxes, and it's completely false. Like, you are such a unique individual and a unique being, and you couldn't possibly gather a well-rounded picture of how you're meant to operate, what a great horoscope is for you based off just like someone's page on Instagram, because it really does depend on your unique chart and what planets and you know, what planets, what aspects are in your chart. Like we all have a very unique chart, and it depends on what's going on in your chart. That is going to give you a rounded picture of like what's happening for you based on the current transits. Like right now we have the moon, I said we have the moon transiting out of Gemini into Cancer, and this is really gonna depend on your chart for how to like see this in that area of your life based on the house that this is transiting for you, based on, again, your unique chart. So having this like one size fits all horoscopes out there, I feel like is so misconstrued and like really defeats the point of what astrology is. It's a guidance system. It's a tool for following the roadmap of your soul and for following your highest potential and living in alignment with who you are. And when we do see these blanket horoscopes out there that are just kind of like based off of, yes, they're based off transits, yes, they're based off the current energies in the sky, but it really does depend. Like you can't just go off of, oh, my sun is in Aries or my sun is in Gemini, so this is the horoscope for me. Like, no, it really depends on your chart and what's going on in your chart and how that is going to affect different parts of your chart. So it's a lot bigger and it's a lot deeper than just like a basic, oh, my sun is in Gemini, so this horoscope like is for me. And it's like, yes and no, there's so much more to it than that. So that's why if you've ever felt like, oh, this is like super general and this doesn't actually resonate with me, that's why. Because we all have a unique chart with different planets aspecting different, you know, other planets in different ways, and it all really does depend on your unique chart. That astrology is not a one size fits all, and I feel like that's kind of how it's been chalked up to be, especially as it's becoming more mainstream and more talked about. And I want to just convey that message that it's not a one size fits all, and it really does depend on your chart and what is in your chart and how what's going on in the sky is affecting your unique chart. On a case-for-case basis. Again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. So, yeah, and I want to pull some cards, too. I just felt called to talk about that today, so I hope that resonates with you. Let me know if it does in the comments. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you, and looking forward to doing more things to share this knowledge with you. So what guidance do we have for these beautiful beings of Instagram today? Ooh, okay. On the bottom, the subconscious message is abundance. I've been seeing this card a lot. I feel like this is happening for a lot of us, and speaking for me personally, like I'm in a very like seemingly low place. Like if I were to describe to you my physical, like how everything is for me right now, like in the physical 3D world, you would be like, whoa, how are you like okay? But I have just such like strong, steadfast faith that things are coming, and I feel like that's what this card is saying, is abundance is coming. Whether or not it looks like it right now, it's still on its way. It's coming. What fell out is the 5 of Water, and this card is all about letting go. I feel we're in a huge purge right now. We're in a huge purge right now. I don't even want to say I feel, because I know, like, we're in a huge purge right now. The last week, some friends and I have been chatting about this, like saying that we've been feeling really dizzy and feeling like a lot is purging, a lot is coming up to be released. I was really emotional last week, like going through emotional waves of purge, crying a lot. I like had times where I was like, I need to punch my pillow right now and scream into my pillow and just release these emotions that are coming up so strongly. And that is kind of like the transitional state that we're in right now, and we're coming out of it this week. But the last week has been really heavy. The last week has been like really forcing us to look at, and I talked about this a little bit in my most recent reel, for the divine feminine energy of that Juno right now is on the South Node in Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is all about coming home to our truth. It's all about speaking your truth and not caring like who it offends or what other people have to say about it. It's about changing your belief systems. It's about allowing yourself to be the philosopher, the questioner of your life, and really looking at your belief systems from the lens of a microscope and being like, okay, what about this is true? What about this is not true? What about this can I question? What about this can I change? And the South Node represents our karmic past. It represents releasing our destiny and releasing our karmic ties. And with Juno, the asteroid there right now, this is especially huge for divine feminine energy. We all have divine feminine energy within us. So we're all going through this right now in the way of the feminine. We're all purging these emotions, all purging what belief systems are blocking us from our power, what belief systems are blocking us from our innate wisdom and from our gifts. Sagittarius also represents wisdom. Sagittarius, I talk about as the most multifaceted sign in the zodiac because they represent so many facets of life that I couldn't possibly comprehend in like a 10-minute video here, however long this is going to be. So there's a lot coming up right now to be released. There's a lot coming up right now that is being shed, and we're in a huge transition. And this card is saying that we need to like let go of what doesn't make us feel good. We need to, the next card that came out is the child. We need to really like go back to our childlike state. Like what made us feel good? We need to really get back into this as a collective. What makes us feel good? How can we do that more? Like for me right now, that's going live and pulling these cards and sharing with you these messages. Like, and that is just such a huge theme of right now is what do you need to feel good? What do you need to awaken your inner child? I recently bought a stuffed animal because I just love cuddling with it, and I don't, I don't have anyone in my life that I can cuddle with right now. So for me, a stuffed animal feels good to cuddle with. And that is like something I've been doing to kind of awaken that inner child in me and nourish that inner child. We're also in Leo season, which represents the inner child. And I feel like is very indicative of this card coming out of like, what do we need in order to feel good and just really be lighthearted and carefree and really like follow what lights us up and what makes us feel good and release everything that, that we were tied to, again, the South Node and Sagittarius, that really wasn't in line with our truth. We're really finding our truth right now in ways that we haven't before, in ways that are making us and creating unshakableness in our foundation and in our structure and in our belief systems. And it requires this kind of like a childlike approach of being curious, of being playful, of being just like seeking what feels good and what is fun. And I can't like express that message enough right now. That is such the energy of this time, especially with, as we just had the moon in Gemini transiting the North Node and opposing the South Node. And now it's moving into Cancer, which is all about nourishment, all about taking care of yourself, really nurturing yourself, nurturing your intuition, nurturing your feelings. So the next couple days, especially if you're an emotional and human design or a reflector, you might be feeling this. You might be feeling the need to purge emotionally and really like ask yourself what you need in order to really nurture yourself and take care of yourself right now and really create space to be able to do that. And it might be a time of hermiting away. It might be a time of really like caving in and creating this sanctuary for yourself where you really feel safe to do that. Cancer represents the crab, and the crab likes to go within its shell. So how can you really like the next 2 days go within your shell and really nurture yourself and nourish yourself and give yourself what you need to also come back to this childlike innocence that we all have within us and that needs to be awakened. We're taught to like grow up and to suppress like our childlike needs when really that's where all of our magic lies, is in our childlike state and our ability to awaken to that and to allow that to come through, and that's where bliss is found. The last card that came out is the Nine of Swords. And the Nine of Swords is all about really letting go. Again, this represents belief systems. This is letting go of things that are fogging your vision, that are causing you to kind of question or be caught up in delusion or illusion of like what isn't real, and really come back to your truth. Like I was talking about with the South Node being in Sagittarius, conjunct Juno right now. It's really asking us to look at what is our truth? How can we be curious about what we have believed that has led us to where we are right now? And how can we change that? How can we take initiation and action towards changing that? The number 9 and represents endings. It represents closure. And that's really what this time is all about. And what this week especially is about is closing out chapters that really don't serve us. I myself have been going through a huge purge, like I mentioned, at the beginning of this. Last week was purging a lot of emotion, and this week it's been a lot of physical purging, like letting go of belongings that I don't resonate with, letting go of relationships that I no longer resonate with, be it friendships or whatever. Like it's been a lot of purging in the physical. So that is kind of the theme of this week, is really like, what do you need to let go of that hasn't been serving you, that's really kind of been blinding you and holding you back from your truest potential and what your like soul is really here to do. Again, our child, our inner child represents like our soul, which is also, you can look at your moon sign to tell you what your soul is as well and what your soul really needs to thrive. That the moon sign is so important. In Vedic astrology, they highlighted the moon, they exalted the moon sign in your chart because it is your soul. Your moon is your soul, and it really gives you a well-rounded view of like what you're here to align with as it relates to like your soul's calling. We get so caught up in the ego, we get so caught up in, again, our belief systems that we've been conditioned by parents, by outside forces, whoever you were raised around. We've been conditioned to be these certain ways from the people around us, and right now we're coming home to our truth. And that's really what what all these cards are saying, is like, let go of what isn't you so that you can really come home to who you are and awaken to like your inner knowing and your inner child that knows like everything is okay. And like, I feel with this lotus flower that she's holding too, it's like you have your magic within you. It's just about awakening to it and allowing yourself to see it with this like really cool ass like third eye she has going on up here too. And these angel wings, it's like you are your sovereignty, you are your divinity, you are everything that you need. Like your soul, you have everything you need, you have the power. The mind is the most powerful tool we have. And I was listening to this book I posted on my stories yesterday, Letting Go by David Hawkins. He was talking about how this has been extensively studied, that the mind, we have thought for so long in science and neuroscience, and I studied neuroscience in college, so I'm like a freak, I'm like a nerd about this stuff, that we have thought for so long that the brain controls the mind, and it's actually the other way around. Our mind, our thoughts control our brain, and our mind is in charge of what our brain does, and then in turn what our body does. So it all starts with our thoughts and what we're constantly telling ourselves. Again, South Node and Sagittarius energy. What are you believing? What are your belief systems? What thought patterns are you repeating? What belief systems are then in turn being created from the thought patterns that you're repeating to yourself? This is the work that needs to be done right now, and that's the work that's coming up for us to look at, to focus on. The nodes are at the 8th degree, which we're in the 8th month of the year, and it's all about infinity, about abundance, about prosperity. But to tap into that, we have to know our truth. We have to acknowledge the calling of our soul and really awaken to that and let go of everything that has been standing in the way of that, so we can really step into our true power and like be the sovereign being that we came here to be and that we are. So with that, I will leave you, and don't forget about this card that was on the bottom of the deck. Abundance is yours when you really allow it and really shed what is standing in the way, again, as it relates to your belief systems that could be blocking it or keeping it from coming in the way that you need and want and desire at a soul level. So hope that was helpful. I will see you guys again soon. Much love.
An hour.